The stock gearing here is 7.5 millimeters thick from side to side. This gear is 9 millimeters thick. So I had to remove 1.5 millimeters from this side. And another thing, the hole, the slot here for the pin is basically too narrow and not deep enough, because if I mount it, let's get it together. When I mounted it like this with the stock depth, it will go to about here. Well, you can see it. It will stick out about 2 millimeters too much. So I had to cut the holes a bit deeper. I essentially milled them out, the holes for the pin. I milled them out about 2 millimeters. So now it can actually go all the way in. Let's get it in frame, and it's flush. This black piece here is flush with the gear. Also, the center hole is just a tad too small. It wasn't actually 5 millimeters. I had to drill it out a bit. Basically, I took a 5 millimeter drill and ran it backwards until it went through, and it just removed just enough without damaging the rest of the gear. So yeah, expand the holes, the depth and the lengthwise, the center hole, and remove 1.5 millimeters here. I actually only removed what's that? 1.3 millimeters, I think, but I don't have proper equipment to mill it out. So I used a drill press with a milling bit and tried my luck, and it actually fits right now. So I'm happy. You could see the assembly here, and as such you can just about get the E-clip on and lock it in. I probably would want to remove more materials, because as it is right now, this large surface actually rubs on this this part here, on the bearing and so on, and I would very much like to get a spacer in between. So I probably just end up sanding it down instead, to remove the last bit of material, and then get a shim in to act as a spacer between the bearing and the surface here, so we can get a little space between the rest of the bearing, the outer side, and the plastic. I'm not too happy with it actually touching. It's probably not a problem, but would be nice to have fixed. And another thing I could have done is put a chamfer on this part here, but I don't have the proper equipment to do that, so it's probably easier just to remove material and put a shim in. Oh, get it in the frame, sorry. Yeah, so I just probably end up get it down. I'll probably end up just removing material from this by sanding it the rest of the way. It's 0.2 millimeters I'm missing, so it's not that much, but it'll probably take a while anyway. But it's probably safer than trying to mill out the rest of it. I did try, and I can probably not see it, but that's just a tiny little nick here. It's because I tried to mill it out and just took a quick measurement, and I went too deep there. So when I adjusted again and took a new measurement, and ended up at just a bit short. I thought, well, it's a lot safer just to leave it at that and do it by hand the rest of the way. Another thing with this gear, it doesn't mesh properly. It's not that big a deal, but let's see here. This is a properly sized, properly produced pinion gear. And you see the meshing. It's a bit. Let's get it in frame. The meshing doesn't go that deep. It's actually somewhat good right now. You can see this is actually the same spur gear, just in a plastic variant, exact same size. It looks like it's been milled or molded the exact same way, probably from the same file. But if you try to mesh these two together, they don't mesh quite as well as if you get these two. They go just a tad deeper, and that's gonna give you a better grip, because if you the farther apart the gear are, the less surface area there is to transfer the energy, and there's a bigger chance that you will actually slip and break a gear, break a tooth, because of the extra slippage. So it's a good idea to get it as deep as possible without binding. These two go very deep. These two, not so much. About a ½ millimeter off. It's probably enough, because they're both harder materials than the plastic, so hopefully it will hold up better, but that's just a quick downside to this. Have to do a lot of work. The stock gear is also a bit smaller. I think it's 40 millimeters, and this one is 44, the metal one. So I'll basically have to make some extra space in the bottom of the car, or lift the back axle, or the mounting plate, and the motor mount, lift that up, buffering it somehow, but I'm not sure if that's a very good idea. For now, I think I'll just try and maybe drill out or something to get this to fit.